And good day, everyone. Richard Copperthwaite for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us. And greetings to St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith. Mr. Mayor, good to see you. It's
Hello,
been a
Richard.
while.
Happy New Year.
Trust you have. Thank you. Boy, when you hear Happy New Year these days, it's a little tough. When I've been writing that to any of my
Yep.
friends, I'll say Happy parenthesis somehow question mark New Year. But yeah, let's hope for the best, I guess. Huh?
It'll be different next year.
Geez, I hope so. Hard not to start out with the pandemic. Of course, the numbers I just heard on radio this morning, I know it was a record high. I think actually Monday, I should know, we're taping this show on Wednesday,
It was Mondays.
January 5th. I guess it was Monday's numbers. 1727.
Yeah,
Boy, and maybe some of that was a backup from the holiday, but still, just some scary numbers again, huh?
yeah. I mean, we had 2 cases in our household
Did you
over
really?
the holidays. 2 of the kids.
Right, is that right?
Yeah, and as I talk to people throughout the day, everyone's saying that someone in their family had it. Or
I bet. Sounds
I
like
just heard
that's what
it.
we're coming to.
I just heard an odd case. Someone told me that their relative had it 4 times, which
Really?
I thought was odd, but.
Kids weren't too affected?
No, one
or-
was asymptomatic, and the other had a sort of bad head cold, stuffed
Really?
up, temperature peaked at 99.4 for one
Yeah.
day, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
And these, of course, and your kids have been vaccinated, or?
everyone in the house has been vaccinated,
Everybody.
and my wife and I both had
Yeah.
the booster. So so it's. I hate to say it, but it seems like almost everyone's going to get it before too long.
It does almost seem like that.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Wow. But schools went back to.
schools went back.
On Monday.
Yeah.
Of course, you're hearing from some of the biggest school systems out there, I guess Chicago, Boston, just tons of absences. I guess some of those folks going to remote learning. It just sounds like the school issues in some of the biggest cities are just a mess at this point.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that has to do with staffing as well.
Yeah, it sounds like staffing's a big
chunk of it.
issue. And a good point, I guess that's been an issue locally. I've certainly seen stories about Maple Run. Staffing's been a tough issue for them, I guess.
Staffing's been an issue for everyone, right?
Everybody.
I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what the occupation
Yeah.
is. It's just trying to find people to work, which is a totally different conversation.
Yeah. When City Hall is still, you can still walk into City Hall, no changes. It's-
No, everything, the request that you wear a mask in City Hall, but
Yeah.
City Hall is fully staffed, and the services are just what they've always been. So,
Yeah.
and meetings have been, and I know they had a development review board meeting on Monday.
Yeah.
Those have been in person, so still moving forward with that.
Yeah. Well, here we are in January, March Town Meeting Day, the annual city meeting, not too far away. Listen, I think, in fact, we had the earliest town meeting,
Yeah.
I believe, March 1st, Tuesday, March 1st, I believe. And again, happen to have the mayor in front of us here, Mayor Smith, and your term is up at this point, looking to run for a 3rd term?
Yeah, my 2nd term's up in March, and I am planning on running again. I've got the paperwork. I have to get some signatures before January 24th.
Huh. Any of your kids pondering another challenge?
I haven't heard that, no, haven't heard that.
Interesting. Hearing about anybody else who might be interested?
I have not heard, no.
Yeah, it's
I have not inquired, but I have not.
A little early. And 2 city councilors, of course, up every year, and I guess we have Tim Hawkins in Ward 1, Jim Pelkey in Ward
Right.
2.
Yep.
And we'll see. It sounds like Tim Hawkins apparently likely to run
As far
again.
as I know, Tim's running again.
Yeah, Jim, maybe not so sure.
Yeah, Jim has some health issues that he's contemplating, so
Yeah.
he's, both of them. Jim, this is his sort of 2nd round of being a council person, and Tim's been on, I hate to guess, I think
Oh, he's been on for a while.
14 years now, and he's a valuable asset to the board for sure. The knowledge he brings, both from his daily job as a lawyer, and then also just his years on the board.
Yeah,
He brings a nice perspective to the board.
right. So I guess certainly an issue for town meeting day, the city clerk treasurer's office, Curry Galloway will not be running for reelection.
Right. Curry will be stepping down if she hasn't already. And so that opens that, but it's opened up the discussion about
Right.
moving away from a elected position to an
Right.
appointed position by the council, not the city manager. And I've been an advocate of that from day one. When I was first elected mayor, I was surprised at how few requirements there were on the city clerk if elect. So
And what, are there any, would you have to be a city resident?
at that time, or currently, you have to be a city resident.
Okay.
That's one of the discussion points on this new charter change, is opening it up to a wider, just partly due to what we just talked about, the amount of available bodies to fill. And
Yeah.
if we want the best person in there, I think we want to open that up to a
Yeah.
wider geographical area to consider individuals for.
And that issue, as we talked off air, I remember that issue coming up at least once, and you're saying it might have even come up twice in the last, I don't know, 20, 30,
Yeah.
40 years or so. But voters, last time it came up, I think strongly wrote the opinion, no, we want to keep it an elected position. But I have a feeling that, I guess we talked, that may be changing at this point.
Yeah, the sense is, and we've reached out to some people who were adamant against it, and their attitudes have changed. You know, even some of the council members, I talked
Really?
about Tim Hawkins and Jim Pelkey. I think they were against it at one time.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, I think both are supportive of it now.
Huh.
You know, a lot of people don't realize that, you know, you can have anyone run from the city, number
Yeah.
one, which isn't a problem, but.
Right, there are no background
Right, you
requirements.
can't do, there's no background
Wow.
checks. You know, you don't know what if there was a criminal background, or even what the skill set is. You don't know what the
Right.
skill set is to manage that kind of money, be organized, record keeping. I mean, it's, the duties are significant for an individual and for a city the size of St. Albans. It's not as easy as a small town clerk with, 500 residents. It's changed significantly with the demands of legislature and statute over the years. So
Those jobs are, as I think about it, those jobs, I mean, it's not a dual, it's kind of a dual job, but they're voted separately? I mean, is it a separate
yeah, usually
vote for
yeah,
clerk and treasurer?
treasurer, yeah. So
Okay.
so we're looking at doing an appointment. We have to do a charter change, ask it through the legislature in Montpelier.
Yeah,
And then come July, I think it's July, it would take effect.
well,
So if someone is elected here in the interim, then they would have to have the understanding that position would change in July.
interesting. But in any case, voters on March 1st in the city will be electing a new city clerk
Right.
and a new treasurer.
Correct.
Often the same person, but not necessarily.
Correct.
Have you heard any names, heard any rumblings about
No,
any?
I haven't heard any as of
Wow.
yet.
Interesting.
Like I said, we're under the assumption that the charter change will happen.
Right.
Whoever does run will have a job for basically 3 months.
Right,
You know, you could almost look at it as a probationary period where they have that
Right.
opportunity to prove themselves.
right.
And then we can just appoint, I'm not saying it would happen, but the opportunity
Gotcha.
would be to just appoint the person to the seat in July 1, assuming everything goes through.
And that would seem reasonable if whoever is elected March 1st, if that person's doing a decent job,
Right.
you'd think that person would have a pretty good shot at getting the appointment from the
Right.
counselor. That's right. What about Counselor and State Rep Mike McCarthy? Is Mike, has he voiced an opinion on this? Does he think this is a good idea? Do you know?
Yeah, no, he, Mike has volunteered, if you will, to push the charter change through the legislature and make sure it happened this year.
Yeah,
So he's on board. I think the whole council's on board with
Really?
it. We've discussed it, and no one's come out against it.
right.
So.
If you had I suspect this won't happen, I can't remember this ever happened. If nobody announced for that job, if there were no candidates, the council, I assume, could make an appointment in that very unlikely, presumably, case.
Exactly. So that's where we could be in
Interesting.
March 1.
Because I know when Curry was first elected, I think she's finishing two terms, basically. I think when she first ran, I think there was just one other candidate.
She and I ran at the same time.
Right,
It was her first
right.
term as well, so
Right.
she's been 4 years.
And then I think she ran unopposed for reelection
Exactly.
a couple of years ago.
She did a wonderful job for the city, and
Yeah.
you know, we definitely will miss her. She was a great asset.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly a noteworthy issue.
Yeah, no, it'll be curious to see what kind of conversation it generates.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Messenger did an article on it. I didn't get any feedback. I mean,
Yeah.
I did get feedback. A few people that did reach out said, boy, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think
No,
people,
yeah.
I think people will be on board with it.
Yeah. No, I suspect the thinking on that has changed over the years.
Yeah.
And again, do you know stats across the rest of the state? I think a number of cities, towns have gone over to an appointed.
Yep, you're exactly right. I don't know what the number is, but
Yeah.
this conversation came up with the council, and that I want to say 20, 24, or something like that, have
Yeah.
moved to an appointed position as
Yeah.
opposed to an elected position.
That certainly seems like that's the trend.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of March, town meeting, annual city meeting, budget-wise, you're in pretty good shape. In fact, you're obviously working on that as we speak, pretty much.
Right,
Or is
yeah,
that-
I think we have meeting Monday night. Well, we do have a meeting Monday night, and I think that will be the presentation of the budget, or one of them.
Yeah.
There will be other budget presentations, and so there's a committee of 3 that have been working on it with the city manager. So they'll come to the council and present the initial draft, and then we'll take it from there.
Of course, a big issue last year, a number of pretty big issues last time around, last year with the community swimming pool, water storage tank. Any issues of that kind of magnitude coming up this March?
Well, we are looking at another TIF project down on Federal Street
Hmm.
to clean up a property.
Hmm.
That will be there. We've made some good headway. Voters gave us permission to move forward on the Fonda site, and that's making some good headway. We're able to purchase a right-of-way from the railroad for the rail piece that went on the west side of the building. So we've been able to move forward on that.
And some outside funding, you've got pretty nailed down, some
Yep.
outside
So
funding
we're
for
sitting
that?
pretty well between the earmark from Senator Leahy
Yeah.
and Northern Borders Regional Commission dollars. And then we've had brownfield money from the state as well over the years. So we're very fortunate. It's a large project, a large cleanup,
Yeah.
but it'll be great for the city when it's all said and done.
Any rough price tag on the cleanup cost?
It's been a moving target, Richard, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth. I would say anywhere is between $2 and $3 million.
Really interesting.
So, and that's from PCBs being within the foundation of the building, and then a lot of it, not a lot, some of it was taken care of when the building was demolished as well, so.
That work hopefully starting this year, is that something you think?
Yeah, no, I think come spring, there'll be,
Yeah.
if not before.
Right. And the Railroad Dispatch Center, still the hope or plan is for?
Yep, so moving forward for 2023 to be in place, so
Yeah.
you'll see eventually a new building, 10,000 square feet on that same site. So there's a few things happening here.
And again, that was a site that the city has talked about as a possible site for a future U.S.
Right.
Customs and Immigration Services
Right.
building. Anything new on that?
No, I was asked that over the weekend, and, I think 3 proposals were submitted. I don't think any of the 3 have heard anything.
Really?
I just placed a call to Leahy's office yesterday to get an update. I didn't reach the individual I needed to, but should have more information. But they move at their own pace.
Yeah.
Originally it was hurry up and now it's hurry up and wait.
Really? I mean, is there a chance, of course, the Gil-Tabor complex on Lower Weldon, and nothing going on, shut down totally? I think there's a chance that the feds, whatever, will just stick with the status quo and not even bother with the new facility?
That was part of the conversation. Some people think that is a possibility, that ultimately they go through this whole process and say, well, we're going to stay put.
With, of course, a lot of the workers who used to work in St. Albans now working in Essex, and I guess a lot still working remotely.
Right, still working remotely for sure. I think from what I've learned through the process is that, so the building's going to be significantly smaller, more than more than 50% smaller. I think an existing building was about 130,000 square feet,
Yeah.
and the request is for 50 to 54. So obviously, the building's a lot bigger. The Tabor building is a lot bigger than what is needed based on the request. What I understand to be, so it's considered a level 4 clearance building from the governor's, or not the governor, the government's perspective. And what that means, and from what I've been told, is a level 4 means it has to be a standalone building that can be encapsulated within a protective environment, so a fence around it, guard shacks, for parking and that type of stuff. The Tabor building doesn't allow for that unless they end up tearing down a good chunk of it.
Right.
It doesn't allow for that isolation for a level 4 clearance. So that's what I've been told. So I don't, as much as it could happen, I don't think it will happen on Lower Weldon.
Yeah.
So those are just, so that's why they're looking, I think the specs on the proposal were standalone. They wanted 300 parking spaces. They wanted certain criteria that I think they've been, people have been focused on.
And the Fonda Solo site, do you have enough room if that were to happen there? You have enough room at that site?
Yeah, I think so. It's tight on the parking, but there's also a discussion, I think, going on with the old Fonda warehouse. There was, if you remember, the Fonda employees used to cross the railroad tracks and access parking down below as well. So
Yeah.
that was part of the plan.
But a little surprising, there's been just no
No.
info coming out on that, huh?
No word whatsoever.
Interesting. Health of downtown these days, certainly there's some empty storefronts, not the easiest time, obviously, for retail or maybe for anybody, but I think downtown's doing okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned, that actually seems to be, for me, the number one conversation that
Is
I
that
hear
right?
about.
Yeah.
I said in the past, and when we thought COVID was over
Yeah.
in May, we
Yeah.
had that hope that it was gonna be wrapping up.
Yeah.
COVID didn't end at the right time because, not that it's over now, but
Yeah.
if in fact it ended in May and you try to promote the downtown
Yeah.
and you get someone situated, by the time they get in there, it's usually 5-6 months, and now you're getting into the winter season.
Right.
No one wants to start a business and try to manage their dollars to get through January and February.
Yeah.
But with that said, the city has, I believe, 4 conversations going on regarding storefronts. 2 will be talked about on Monday night, about the proposal that we're moving forward. So when you talk downtown, so we did the 1% sales tax.
Right.
And our goal on that has always been use that to recruit business, to attract business to the downtown. So we have that pot of money, if you will, to do some things, for, fixing up facades, maybe investing in some buildings, whether it's maybe new windows, maybe we can reduce rents for some businesses till they get up and running and on their feet. So
What's the city looking to get annually on that? Is that, are you getting about as much money as
we're
you?
actually getting more than we thought.
Really?
So we're up, we're getting about 750,000.
Really? That's great.
So we're happy with that. I think the estimates originally were 620, 650.
Wow.
So we're using that money to reinvest in the downtown.
Huh.
Like I said, we're going to hear 2 commitments, we think, downtown opening up this spring.
I heard the vegan place.
Oh, and then you look at that.
They're moving to Main Street, I heard, is
Yeah,
that?
they're moving up to where What a Yarn was on the
Oh,
corner, the building on the corner.
Huh.
So if you count that one, they're moving to Main Street as well. So you've got 3 on Main Street come spring. And we are we being the city are active in those discussions and investing in those businesses. So.
But boy, retail, obviously, nothing I have to tell you. Retail, just again, still pretty tough time, things.
Yeah,
don't-
there's a lot of good stuff going on. I met with the folks from 14 Star
Yeah.
on Monday. They're going to be re-engaged in the community, and I'm not saying they weren't all along, but
Yeah.
they are they're even getting more active in being a destination, but also making St. Albans a destination for a lot of folks.
Hmm.
So they're going to invest in a number of activities, whether it's Green Up Day or can drives, or promoting other restaurants in the area and activities. So they'll be a great asset for us moving forward. They're committed to attracting people to the community. We just completed that video. I don't know if you've seen the video that's out on
Haven't
St.
seen it.
Albans. It's on the webpage,
Oh, yeah.
Richard. It's a nice 4-minute video about the transformation that St. Albans has gone through,
Really?
and people looking to move here, not only as residents but businesses as well. There's a good, strong vibe about what's happening and what has happened over the years
Yeah.
for the city. So we're excited about that. We just need to get back to those monthly events. We were fortunate, Festival of Trees. Last night was a tractor parade. I mean, it was great.
Tractor parade's one of the, I think, the coolest things
Yeah.
I've ever seen. Love
So
the tractor
They
parade.
had 43 entries. They
Is that
were
right?
they were excellent. They get better all the time.
Wow.
So
Ellie Perrier, St.
Yeah,
Pierre,
yeah.
the Marshall, and
Yeah.
good choice.
yeah, that was great. That was wonderful.
Great
So
event.
we've gotten back on some events.
Some nice firework, right? Always a treat to
Fireworks.
see fireworks
Yeah.
downtown.
We canceled In Good Taste, which is a tasting event at City Hall. That just was too many people and too small of a
Yeah.
space. But we'd like to get that back for sure. I don't know the status of the father-daughter dance coming up in February. You had the St. Patrick's Day Parade in March. I did hear that the Maple Festival is moving forward.
Oh, really?
So they're planning on hosting it as of a month ago.
Oh, really?
They're going to eliminate a few things just because they can't get sites. I think the antique show will be off, and I think the talent show will be on, but not open to the public, if I remember correctly.
But great, so you're hearing that the plan is to
Yeah.
move ahead with it.
Yep. So
Be nice. What about St. Albans Winter Carnival? We could talking a winter
I
carnival?
have not heard that yet.
Not sure.
I would think that would be a go. I mean, Hardak is going to be open, and
Yeah.
everything's outdoors and separate, social distancing and whatnot. So I think that's still a go.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that yet officially, but
Speaking of Hardak, again, construction continuing on the swimming pool over the winter, Tim, or they've
not
pretty
much.
just buttoned it down for a while?
Yeah, they buttoned it down for a while. The building's up, weather tight, and the concrete was poured for the pool portion of it. They'll have to do another pour come spring when the weather breaks.
Yeah.
But I think they were working on some piping for the filtration system. But as far as I know, we're still on course for a June 1 opening.
Really, June 1.
Yep.
Interesting. And at that point, the former city pool, any thoughts or any plans on that?
Former city pool hasn't gotten much attention, or what the process is going to be on that. We've talked a little bit about leaving the building with the bathrooms there to be used by the
Yeah.
city school for outdoor soccer games and
Yeah.
softball and baseball games.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far that conversation has gone between Dom
Yeah.
and the city or the school board.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the pool will be filled in and that space vacated.
Boy, if you could give an award to like a building or a project like that, talk about the city getting its money's worth big time out of the city pool.
83, I guess, maybe.
Is that right? Sounds
So
about
we're-
right.
So we're up to what? We're up to 40
Jeez.
years.
Coming up on 40 years.
Yeah.
Pretty good effort
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and the mission of the pool is obviously to teach people to swim,
Yeah.
and I don't think we've had a the region has had a drowning,
Right.
from just regular swimming and activity.
Yeah.
So I think we've been very fortunate from that perspective.
Certainly great staff. I obviously know some of the fine folks who have logged a lot of years down there, but excellent staff.
Yeah, no, that's been, the amount of kids who have learned to swim,
Yeah.
and continue to swim, and swim team and everything, it's been a great success.
Yeah, I guess one of the concerns about the community swimming pool at Hardak was just, could kids, a lot of kids could walk to the, of course, city pool.
Right.
Over the years. Will there be transportation? Will there?
Yeah, that is a plan.
That is a plan.
I'm sure we will have some bugs to work out, and,
Yeah.
but there will be we call it the aqua van, will be circulating throughout the city, picking up individuals who want to go up for the day and dropping them back off.
Yeah,
So that was one of the part of the plan from day one, is to have that transportation available to them. And it will have a bike rack, so, I mean, the tough thing about getting to the pool is getting up the hill for the
Right.
most part.
right.
I think a lot of kids, if they put their bike on the van, have no problem riding down the hill. So that's our plan. I'm not sure what the specifics are. And the other piece of that was Houghton Park and sort of a refurbishment of Houghton Park with some other activities.
Oh, yeah.
And that probably won't happen this year, but it'll be a focus of 2023.
Yeah. Police department with their new digs, that's worked out pretty well. I'm sure they're pretty happy with some new digs.
I haven't heard of too many complaints. I haven't heard of any complaints. I know that Chief Lamont loves it. Officers love it. He thinks it's going to be a great recruiting tool.
And speaking of which, staffing, how are you faring with staffing?
I think we're pretty good. I haven't
Yeah.
heard otherwise. We had one officer going on leave for having a child, but I think we had that covered.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I think we're fully staffed.
And city's still dealing with Highgate at this point also.
Still, it's a year-to-year contract, comes
Yeah.
up in July, and it seems to have worked out well for both parties.
So presumably you'll try to keep that, presumably?
Yeah, I think so.
or-
It's worked out well,
Yeah,
so.
interesting. So staffing. And City Hall staffing, you doing okay staffing-wise?
We are, with the exception of, the city clerk
Of
position.
course, clerk treasurer.
All the other positions are full.
Yeah.
Public Works has maintained the same crew for 2 or 3 years, which
Yeah.
we've been very fortunate about. They do a wonderful job. I was hoping they'd get through the New Year's weekend without having to get called out, but that didn't work out.
Yeah,
But they've done a wonderful job over the past 2 or 3 years.
down to about 45 seconds. A pretty soft winter so far, so we'll see what the rest of it brings.
Got
But
some messy weather coming this weekend. It sounds
yeah,
like it might go
be.
south, but.
And I saw a forecasted high next Tuesday is about 0 or so, so I'm sure
Yeah.
there'll be some more winter coming, but pretty soft winter so far,
Yeah,
I
so far,
guess.
yep.
Tim, 30 seconds, any final comments quickly on anything else?
No, I think things are going well, Richard. We're, I think, as a city, as a council, we're happy with where we're at, and we'll be presenting town meeting items here in the next week or so.
Very good. Appreciate your presence. Good to see you. And again,
Likewise.
hope folks had decent holidays. And again, we'll see if we can pull off a Happy New Year. Thanks to producer Roger. I'm Richard Copperthwaite. See you next time on Northwest Access TV. See ya.